The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
Hi, this is Mia Mosinzia, also known as Mia No Time for Love. Check out my latest book, Missing, available in print and ebook formats on Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and sponsored by international award-winning author Mia Mosinzia of Missing. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 40 podcast platforms, as well as hamiltonradio.net, Diamonds FM, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We can be heard in over 100 countries, featuring over 1,000 well-known and amazing guests throughout the globe. And named one of the top 100 global podcasts in the New York Weekly Times, Hollywood Entertainment News, Los Angeles Weekly Times, Apple, and Chartable. So sit back and relax and enjoy another great episode of the award-winning Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-winning author Mia Mosinzia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosinzia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosinzia has garnered great reviews and even loved and enjoyed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes, Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Mosinzia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and heard on hamiltonradio.net. Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few other networks coming soon. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, baseball gear, and more. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosinzia. For great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Mosinzia. Check it out today. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com at the Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. Well, here are the terrific gentleman living in San Diego, California. He's an author and writer working to raise awareness for alternative therapies for mental health and physical health as well, too. And optimizing of oneself and advance in psychedelic research. We'll talk about that. His new book called Taking Back My Mind, My Journey Out of Depression with Psilocybin Mushrooms. And it's basically, it's like magic mushrooms. It's talking about journey overcoming severe clinical depression with the magic mushrooms. And of course, he went through a story like with divorce, father's death, and several major health issues, and falling victim to pharmaceutical drugs, and also has a special method and philosophy as well too. And we'll talk about the book Taking Back My Mind, My Journey Out of Depression. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown San Diego, the amazing author, writer, living in Southern California, and the book Taking Back My Mind, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Gerardo Urias. Gerardo, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's an honor to spread the message.
And it's a great honor to have you on as well, too. So you're an author and writer living in Southern California, working to raise awareness for alternative therapies for mental and physical health, and also optimizing oneself, advancing psychedelic research. Your new book talks about the journey overcoming severe clinical depression with magic mushrooms, or psilocybin mushrooms as well, too. And, of course, you lived in Mexico for a little bit, too. You experienced divorce, your father's death, several major health issues, falling victim to pharmaceutical drugs, and also talk about your book, Taking Back My Mind. And before getting all that, Gerardo, tell us how I first got started.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, tell us how you first got started.
Yes, absolutely. The appropriate place to start is taking you back to 4 years ago where I was in that deep funk of depression. That's where everything was sparked, So take you back a little bit further, back to 2017, the beginning of 2017, January 29th, which was actually my birthday of 2017. I had an amazing Europe trip with my best friend to go ski in Europe, where I used to live in Germany 20 years prior with this friend. So a snapshot of this day, I was really on top of the world. This whole vacation, I was at this point living in Mexico. I had a vacation rental business with my wife. I was married to a beautiful woman, and everything was just going very, very well. I really felt like I was on top of the world. Immediately after I came back from that European vacation, things immediately fell apart in my marriage. Not to go into details, but it was very abrupt. And so that started everything in a different trajectory. So I went from the top of the world in a matter of a day, really, as soon as I arrived, to a very difficult situation, very heartbreaking, difficult situation. And so that immediately, got me into a very dark place, depression. I didn't know what to do, so I decided to go home for a bit to just be with family, be with my brother. A few, 2 weeks after this happened and we separated. And then a few days after I got back home, my father had a major stroke. And so that added a layer of a lot of stuff, darkness, fear, depression. And then he passed away 2 weeks later. So for that following 2 weeks, I was trying to figure out what was going on in my marriage. And then I was watching my father's body slowly shut down until he passed away. I was also going deaf at the time. I had this hearing condition called otosclerosis. That's somewhat of a rare hereditary condition, they believe, where you start to lose hearing because some bones in the middle ear stop transferring sound. So I had this condition that I wasn't aware of. It creeps on. So by the time I noticed it, I was so far into my depression, I didn't pay attention to it until I really couldn't hear people having conversations. So then I went to get checked out by the doctor. This was after my father's death. And then I found out, wow, okay, I'm also like 80% deaf. So then all this crumbled on top of me. As a result of all of this, I ended up not going. I did go back to Mexico to wrap things up, but I had to close up shop in Mexico. We ended up losing the business. Of course, we got divorced. I lost my whole life over there in Mexico that I'd been building for years and years. Me and my wife were building it. I had already been kind of on this path for many, many years. So it was a lot of work to get there, and then it all just crumbled like that. And so I thought, man, well, if this can just all crumble so fast, like why would I work for anything else? And then I just lost motivation. I didn't want to work for anything else. And then I just went down that rabbit hole of extreme depression to the point of where I was getting suicidal ideations. Just didn't want to live anymore. And then that persisted for about 10 months. And I went through a lot. I went to the hospital for panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I ended up in jail one time because of a drunken episode, because I was just lashing out, angry. And the next stop was absolutely the morgue. I just knew it. I was kind of heading in there subconsciously. I was living very recklessly, and I just didn't want to be a part of this world anymore. So that's where that, before or a few days after the jail incident, my brother suggested that I try magic mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, because my family was, of course, worried about me. Everybody's worried about me. I wasn't really talking to anybody. I was just doing my own thing. And everybody tried to help. Nobody could. I tried antidepressants. Many of them, it made things worse. It made my digestion very horrible. It worsened my insomnia that I had. People tried to help. They could not. I saw 4 therapists. There was nothing they could say, that could bring back my wife, my life, my dad, all of this stuff. And that was my frame of thought, that I lost all these things that I worked for, and nobody's going to bring that back. So I gave up, but I decided, hey, I have to try something, because I'm going to be dead soon. Mm-hmm. And I was certain of it. So then that brings us to December 22nd, 2017, where my brother came over with a few magic mushrooms, and we ate them and took a walk on the beach. And then that day, the depression dissipated, lifted, dissolved out of my body. I felt it just leave my body, and it has not returned. That was 4 years ago.
Wow, that is interesting. And have you actually had mushrooms per se before? Like you have them on pizza, you just eat them solo, or anything like that, or even like on steak. You've actually had mushrooms before?
Oh yeah, yeah. So when I was living in Germany 20 years ago, 25 years ago now, my friends and I started experimenting with mushrooms back then because they're legal up in the Netherlands and Amsterdam.
Oh, okay.
Not too far away, you know. Europe in general is a bit more relaxed about that kind of stuff. So we started experimenting over there quite a bit, and I was there for 3 years. So I've eaten a lot of mushrooms in my life, but it had been that long. So after that, I moved back to the U.S. And this is kind of part of my whole story of the progression of how life brought in certain things and certain things, entered and exited. Well, when I came back to the U.S., psychedelics, of course, very illegal. So I didn't think about them and I wasn't looking for them. And they just kind of fell off to the wayside, I started working, I started bartending. And then I got into the restaurant business and got into management. And that was sort of the corporate ladder of my work life. Very stressful job if you've ever worked in a restaurant, bartending, a lot of alcohol. So alcohol entered my life, is what happened. America's drug of choice is alcohol and nicotine and caffeine, all very bad for you. So I started drinking a lot, of course. I was a bartender. And now in hindsight, I see the slow destruction of my life, that environment, not necessarily the alcohol, I don't want to blame it on that, but the environment of just a bar in the US is not a healthy one. And so my first relationship that I came back with the girl that I met over there. That crumbled because of the environment. And then eventually I met another woman. That's the woman that I married. Similar lifestyle though. And then we got married and eventually we sold everything and moved down to Panama was where we started. Ended up in Mexico. But we had 3 years of just traveling through Central America and Mexico, trying to kind of start a business. And so we were raging. I mean, we were living like rock stars. It was incredible fun and wow, but it was a lot of ego. It was a lot of partying and things that aren't healthy for you,
Mm-hmm. He also said too that falling victim of pharmaceutical drugs and comparing the magic mushrooms as well too. That what are some of the magic mushrooms that I would just say that helped you instead of the pharmaceutical drugs? You have everything possible out there. It's like Thorazol, and I'm trying to think of some of the ones that were out there that for depression. I think was it. Let's see, Prozac. I'll say no, not Zantac. I'm trying to think of some of the ones that were out there comparing to magic mushrooms. And I guess the question is like, why was the U.S. in your opinion is just making magic mushrooms illegal when it actually does work, but the pharmaceutical drugs out there aren't working worth what?
Right. Exactly. And one of the main reasons that I wrote this book is I became very interested in what happened and why all of a sudden my depression lifted. What is it in these magic mushrooms that made that happen? It was a miracle. I mean, this is a literal miracle. When you try and get rid of something, a depression that you can't escape, it almost kills you. And then in one day, in a matter of hours, it's gone. That's a miracle to me, And so I started researching the hell out of it. And then I started learning the history of psychedelics, learning the science of psychedelics, all this stuff. And that's why I wrote the book, because we need to unlearn as a society everything that we've been taught, which is a lie about psychedelics, literally a lie. So I broke it down how everything that we have been taught about psychedelics is a lie. So I will give you this one example about antidepressants. Research into LSD started back in the 50s, treating alcoholics, treating depression and things like that. The scientific community became very interested in how such a small molecule can have such a profound effect, and so during this research in the 50s and 60s, that led to the discovery of serotonin, because the way that LSD and psilocybin and DMT, what are called the classic tryptamines, okay, so a tryptamine is a molecule we make in our bodies, closely resemble to tryptophan. You may have heard of tryptophan in Turkey and foods like that.
I remember that's a kind of just put you to sleep, and especially if you're watching a Lions game and they're getting killed like 48-0, good time to do it. But don't watch it if you're watching a Dallas Cowboys game when it's tied 20 and you're watching like 2 minutes in the game. You don't ever want to take that. So
yeah, exactly. And that's why it has that calming effect. It's very similar in molecular structure to serotonin. And so these tryptamines, psilocybin mushrooms, and LSD, they work by mimicking serotonin, and they're that close, where your body thinks it's serotonin. So they bind to our serotonin system, or serotonin receptors, okay? So during the research, they discovered serotonin we didn't know about serotonin back in the 20s and 30s. So the discovery of serotonin was very interesting to science, and that led eventually to the discovery of, or the creation of brain science in general, just studying the brain. So since they discovered serotonin, they isolated it, and then they started to mess with that and try and mimic that. That developed into SSRIs, which is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which are the classic antidepressants that we use today, like Zoloft, like sertraline, that I used and did not work. And that's the history of that. So essentially what happened is they took 2 decades of research, and with LSD, there was having a lot of very successful outcomes, especially with alcoholics in Canada and in the US, in big universities like Harvard, like Stanford, like UCLA. And it was working. So they tried to break it down, isolate serotonin, make a pill, of course, make a drug out of it, which doesn't work. And that's the world we live in now. So the efficacy rate of antidepressants is barely over the placebo rate.
That's rather interesting, too. We'll talk more about the book, Taking Back My Mind, My Journey Out of Depression, with psilocybin mushrooms as well, too, and more about your journey. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews, and Eve 11 endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes, Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today. Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books, merchandise, and more. Also, support The Mike Wagner Show with your generous donation on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com with The Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. We're here with author, writer, living in Southern California, Gerardo Urias on The Mike Wagner Show with Taking Back My Mind, My Journey Out of Depression with psilocybin mushrooms as well, or the magic mushrooms. And before we talk more about your book, what was that one precise moment that simply influenced you into writing the book?
It was probably about 2 weeks after this day that I ate the mushrooms. So it was so dramatic and so miraculous that I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't really expect the depression to really be gone. So the next few days, I was sort of apprehensive, just observing, however, I immediately, when I woke up, I felt good, where I hadn't felt good for 10 months every single day. Every single day for those 10 months, I either cried or I broke down somehow throughout the day. I was very to myself. I was a hermit, and, I wasn't myself. And I immediately woke up just feeling good and just sort of I just kind of knew that something shifted, something was good. And so that day came and went, and I felt good. That was the first day that I didn't break down, that I didn't cry in 10 months. Second day, same thing. Third day, same thing. The third day, I had this just surge of motivation because I'd been lacking motivation. Mm-hmm. And I started just thinking, okay, well, I need to build a life again. So I started reading entrepreneur magazines again and just started getting back into it. I immediately decided to shift my life. I decided immediately to move the next week to Lake Tahoe because skiing is my ultimate passion. Moved up there. Within 2 weeks, I was living in Lake Tahoe, skiing, loving life. I started microdosing. So to sort of continue this therapy with the psilocybin mushrooms, I started microdosing, and I felt so good, better than I've ever felt my entire life. That again, I thought, okay, this is just way too good for me to keep to myself. And it is, and that's where it was. Is I decided probably a few days after I got to Lake Tahoe, and after a day of skiing, and I was thinking back where I was 2 weeks prior, and I was just like, there's no way I can't keep this to myself. So I have to get it out. So I started taking notes of my research. I started journaling immediately. 3 days after that day, I started journaling. So the idea of the book kind of came naturally. The journaling and the research notes developed into the book. It was just an immediate drive 2 weeks afterwards that I wanted to get the information out there. And I had the idea, okay, this could develop into a book somehow. And I knew that something magical was happening in real time. And I wanted to document it in real time. I knew it was going to be a journey, I knew this was changing everything. So I didn't want to wait until the future to write everything because it's happening now. So I wanted to document it now. And that's what happened. I documented the entire next 2 years into my whole journey on how I just keep elevating my wellness.
That is rather interesting too. And when you did that work for 2 years, did you have any fear like the FDA would come at you, or like say law enforcement about the magic mushrooms? Of course, magic mushrooms being considered illegal in the US, but it's also legal in Canada, Mexico, and also parts of Europe as well too. Did you have any of that fear that they were going to be investigating or anything like that? Or is it just like simply saying, hey, there's another alternative out there if all the drugs out there, thanks to pharmaceuticals, aren't working for you?
Right. Yeah, I did. Of course, I was very careful, and I did have that fear, definitely. And that stayed with me for, the first year or two. Well, and it's still illegal. So that's always there. And this is why I'm doing this work, because I believe it's so ethically wrong for these natural plants that are there's nothing bad about magic mushrooms. That's just the truth about it. It actually creates neurogenesis. It actually grows neural connections. There's nothing bad about them. So, ethically, I believe it's morally completely wrong that they are illegal. So that's very strong, so that overrides any fear that I have. But of course, I've always been very careful. And this is why I go to Mexico a lot, is because in Mexico and Oaxaca, the state of Oaxaca, mushrooms have been part of that culture for thousands of years. So they're legal there. So I do a lot of my work down there.
And of course, that's been going on for thousands of years, along with the other natural remedies as well too. I've heard stories where people go down for surgeries. Your typical surgery costs like over $10,000, $100,000. They go down there, it's like $1,000 or less. And a lady I worked with, actually had what was it like? I'm trying to think. It's like a root canal or some teeth taken out. It was just like $100, where most dentists would charge about $1,000 a tooth. And I guess the big question is that with Mexico just having all these the medications and everything else, they actually work, but it's just like it just doesn't. It seems like there's a conflict between Mexico and the U.S. when it comes to healing therapies and everything like that. So I guess just my other basis that assuming alternative therapies are legal in Mexico and what we're considered illegal in the U.S. So it's like you go down there and say like the mushrooms are legal, a few things are legal, they get better, but then you come up, it's illegal. Whereas some other therapies.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is my big driving force for living in Mexico. I'm trying to go there and build this retreat and live there. I want to live in Mexico forever. I love it. It's amazing. And there's a lot more freedom in Mexico than there is in the US in many, many ways. There's a lot of reasons. Yeah, but absolutely. That's a problem, and we need to change the laws. And that's why we're having this conversation. And this is everything I'm doing is to try and change that societal view so that we can change the laws. People need help,
What else are the other alternative therapies that you recommend in your book?
Yeah, so the psilocybin, the psychedelics is one portion of it. That's what sparked my recovery. That's what catalyzed everything. But it's really just the key. So that, the healing itself, the remedy itself is not the mushroom itself. It's our own mind. We're the ones who heal ourselves. The mushrooms just allow us to go into our minds, into our subconscious, where we normally don't have access to these programs, because that's the way our brain is wired. Our brain is wired for survival. It's not wired to necessarily be happy or joyful. That's not the priority in life for evolution, And and that's essentially why, it's just. So that led me down to the path of yoga, meditation, breathwork, right? Those are the things that naturally come to you when you unlock that door. So you take a look at Eastern philosophy, Eastern religions, yoga, the history of yoga. the history of psychedelics, yoga, and breathwork specifically have been intertwined throughout history to before written times, so far back. And this is why, is because you realize the physicality of your body and how much control you have over your body and the mechanisms in your body. And then you start to learn that stuff, So I quickly developed a system and a protocol where I combine the psychedelics with breath work, with yoga, with meditation. And then the clencher for me, I believe, is the philosophy that I follow, which is Stoic philosophy. This also entered into my life on Christmas Day, 2017, 3 days after I ate the mushrooms. I opened up an entrepreneur magazine because I was motivated again. I wanted to start building my life again. And the first thing I read was this article about, and I believe the article was by Mark Manson. He's somewhat of a proponent of Stoic philosophy. And the article is about 3 things that can change your life. One of these things is a coin that you carry in your pocket, sort of like the Alcoholics Anonymous coins, to like make you remember about the struggle to not drink. Well, these coins are philosophy coins, and they have philosophy tenets written on the back of them. And the one that really sparked my interest was one by Marcus Aurelius, a quote that to this day, I repeat every day in my head. It says, "You can leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." My father had just passed away, so death was on my mind. I felt like I came close to death, almost a brush with death with this whole experience. And so that had a profound impact on me. And so I started studying Stoic philosophy, and I really fell in love with it. Incredible philosophy. And the more I research it, the more evidence that we're getting that it was actually the basis of all philosophical thought. Christianity was actually born out of Stoic tenets. There's a great book by Brian Muraresco called The Immortality Key, who just uncovered a lot of this history in Ulysses in Athens, which was sparked by these psychedelic ceremonies we were having back then. And that is what causes this feeling of transcendence. And this theory sort of combined with Terence McKenna's Stoned Ape theory and how I feel that transcendent experience with psychedelics, it makes perfect sense that whole transcendence and everything that translated into the idea of God is this universe that we are in. This is God, and so I really, really fell into this Stoic philosophy. And these are truths. So when you're thinking about these things, especially during a psychedelic experience, they're very, very true. I mean, they are universal, physical, just truths, like that. You can leave life right now, let that determine what you do and say and think. That makes sense. That is very true. Another one by Seneca about anxiety. And that's why I love Stoic philosophy. You can relate it to today. It deals a lot with emotions, anxiety, how to control your ego, pretty much. That's the same issues we've always had, the same issues we're always going to have, And so Seneca's, one of his quotes that really resonated with me was, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Okay, well, that's very true. So you think about that, and you're in this psychedelic space where you're really can go deep with these ideas, and boom, it's true. So these ideas stuck in my head. They embedded themselves, and I noticed that through the yoga, through the meditation, through the breathwork, and thinking about these ideas with psychedelics, I literally infused an operating system into my head, which is this philosophy. And then now I have this operating system on how to go through life. So whenever I get angry or sad or if I have anxiety, I'll just repeat these ideas in my head, and they help me. And I go through the day, and they make me extremely strong. I'm very, very strong. It's incredible. So that's kind of that's the recipe of my book, is those 3 pillars: is the psychedelics, breath work, which is yoga meditation as well, and philosophy.
Mm-hmm. You also have that winning method as well, too, the Hall of Famer HOF as well, too. That's another one we like to hear more about.
Absolutely, yeah, the Wim Hof method, yeah. So that's the breath work. That's the second pillar of the book, and I go deep with that. That is absolutely life-changing and just as powerful as the breathwork. You can get into a psychedelic state through this breathwork alone, which I do daily. It sparks what is called DMT. It's another molecule that we make called dimethyltryptamine. They've seen that this is likely what happens when we die. So all mammals create DMT in their brains, and they've seen in rats when rats die that there is a flood of DMT. DMT is called the spirit molecule because we're not quite sure exactly what it is. We believe it's a neurotransmitter, but we have seen it's in all mammals. It's in a lot of plants. Ayahuasca is one psychedelic plant in South America that contains DMT as well, a different form of DMT. There is a frog in northeast Mexico, southwest US, the Bufo alvarius toad, that on its skin it carries 5-MeO DMT, which is a form of this DMT. It's the most potent form of DMT. So there's a lot of different molecules, psychedelic molecules found in nature.
Okay. And also one thing about the magic mushrooms as well, too, besides curing or controlling depression, what else can it cure or control?
The magic mushrooms? Oh, they're doing so much research on it. They are seeing that it helps with physical pain. I have felt this as well. So since it's really activating your entire serotonin system and a lot of physical processes in your body and your brain, they're using it for pain, to make pain subside. They are using it for marriage counseling, couples therapy, using MDMA as well, very successfully for couples therapy. They're pretty much any mental illness, for one. So depression, ADD, even all mental illnesses, it has an effect on all of them, because I believe that it all comes from the same source. The more we learn about this, the more it kind of goes back into your life, into your childhood trauma. So the people who we have become, they're maladaptations of defense mechanisms we have had to create because of certain situations we grew up in, certain childhood traumas and things like that. Mm-hmm. So the way psychedelics work, and psilocybin, of course, is by digging into that and solving the root of that problem, by making it resurface, feeling it, embodying it, letting it pass through. So processing it in a natural, healthy way that nature made us be able to process these things in this way. It is not natural to just try and cover it up with a pill, because it doesn't get to the source of the issue. And so that's why I believe that it has an effect on every mental condition across the board, really.
And how about for PTSD?
As well, same. Yeah, same. Nice. For PTSD, I like to explain it this way, and this is how I've felt it. This is one mechanism, how I feel that it worked for me and how I've observed it work for others, is that the function of PTSD is to embed the memory of the trauma in your mind so that you don't forget it, right? And so you don't repeat that in the future, that same mistake, right? And so and that buries itself into your subconscious. Okay, so you can go about life not thinking constantly about this threat, but that develops into anxiety. It develops into PTSD, into kind of a constant subconscious awareness of danger. Okay, because of that one experience. So if the brain has the capacity to record an experience and embed it into your subconscious for survival purposes, if you have an opposite experience, if you have an experience of euphoria, an experience of bliss, of oneness with the universe, of absolute physical euphoria, right? That would be the opposite of a traumatic experience, right? Does the brain do the same thing? The answer is yes, it does. It remembers that experience as an absolute euphoric experience, and it balances out that negative experience that we had. So psychedelics have the capacity to bring you back to the center, bring you back to homeostasis in your mind, and essentially erase that subconscious trauma that caused the PTSD. So it's simply balancing a negative, harmful experience with a very euphoric, positive experience, and then you end up here. And you do that over and over, and it gets you back. And then it goes beyond to where you're always euphoric, which I am.
I guess Timothy O'Leary is a hero after all. So
absolutely. There's a reason he was called. That Nixon called him the most dangerous man in America. He wasn't going around carrying guns and killing people. Why was he so dangerous? Because he was the spokesperson for the liberation of the mind, which is very dangerous at that time during Vietnam, which is essentially why psychedelics were illegal. Had nothing to do with health.
That is rather interesting. I think I'll take some magic mushrooms after this. And what can readers get from the book?
It is my story wrapped into a guidebook and a manual on how to elevate your well-being, your health, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, because it all ties together. You can't be physically healthy only and mentally not healthy. Mind, body, spirit is one unit. And so this is my guidebook on how to do that through natural remedies, mostly within yourself, like breathwork, meditation, philosophy, and externally, this psychedelics. So I'm trying to empower the individual to take control of their own health, especially in this day and age. I mean, health is a pretty hot topic right now on okay, what's real? Why are so many people sick? Why, despite the creation of more and more antidepressants, of so much money going into antidepressants, I think the antidepressant market is like $15 billion a year, something like that.
Outrageous.
Yet the mental health crisis continues. Suicide rates continue to climb for decades now. So it's obviously not working, Mm-hmm. So, and I have discovered that it's because we don't need all that. Because if we want to be healthy, we have everything within us. Eat healthy, eat nutrition, eat real food, breathe a lot, drink clean water, exercise, yoga, meditation. Be careful of who you surround yourself with. Be careful of what you put into your mind. Use these psychedelics for your own inner exploration. That's all you need. I've never been healthier, stronger, or happier than I am now, than I have in the last 4 years, and it keeps climbing. I mean, it's insane.
And you're certainly living proof as well, Gerardo. And where can we find your book at?
It's on Amazon. Okay, the book is called takingbackmymind.com. Let me show you the cover. The website is takingbackmymind.com. So you can get the book there. It just goes to the Amazon link. Okay, it's a bluish cover. They could get it there, and on my website they can learn all about the book, all about the projects I'm doing. I'm working on a documentary as well about my story. As I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to be going to Mexico, building a psychedelic retreat. I've been doing breathwork workshops here in California, extremely successful, really changing a lot of lives. So that's a big thing I'm focusing on now. So people can learn all about that and me on takingbackmymind.com.
We certainly will check that out. What's coming up for Gerardo Urias? We'll find out just a minute. You're listening to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor, The Mike Wagner Show, international war-wearing author Mia Mosazia Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the author of Taking Back My Mind, Gerardo Urias, after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshazia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Ray Powers, and boy, are you in luck. Right place, right time. Tuned in to The Mike Wagner Show. You heard me.
We're back with author Gerardo Urias of Taking Back My Mind here on The Mike Wagner Show, and just learned a lot of things about you, the magic mushrooms, and everything. Very inspirational story. And what else can you expect from you in 2022 and beyond?
Expect for a documentary to come out either at the end of 2020 or 2023. This summer, in about 2 months, I will open a psychedelic healing retreat in Oaxaca, Mexico. I will keep doing the retreats and workshops in California. I just did one in Yosemite, and I do several in San Diego. So look out for the workshops. These are my favorite things to do because it's direct access direct effect on people. And I'm watching people transform in a few hours when I put them through the breath work and yoga meditation protocol and all that. So I really love doing it. And that's what I'm really focusing a lot on now.
And we'll certainly check out as well. And too, we encourage everybody to do the same. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh, man, that's a good one.
Here, take a mushroom if you have to, if you remember.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Well, I do have to give a shout out. The first person that really started changing my life, that led to me going to Panama, and then also the first person I heard about psychedelics for mental health was Tim Ferriss. Big influence, Tim Ferriss. And then I have to give a shout out to my philosophical mentor, Marcus Aurelius. 2,000 years ago, he was Roman emperor for 20 years, and his notes to himself on how to be a better person based on the Stoic philosophy. His notes were discovered and turned into meditations, which is one of the most authentic works of philosophy in existence. And he is my guiding light on how to be the best person I can be.
Yes, to the Romans.
Absolutely.
and what's the best advice? And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, hey, every day when you wake up, tell yourself what I tell myself. When you wake up, tell yourself that you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think.
That is very interesting. I really like that. Once again, we're with author Gerardo Urias of Taking Back My Mind here on the Mike Wagner Show. Gerardo, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot from you. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep this up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact? Where can people purchase or check out your book?
Yes, absolutely. My website is the best place that people can find my information, takingbackmymind.com. The name of the book is Taking Back My Mind, My Journey Out of Depression with Psilocybin Mushrooms. I will be coming out with a second edition at some point in the future. But all the information for my workshops, for my retreats, for my documentary, I have podcasts and blogs as well, is on takingbackmymind.com. I have all the social, so pick your favorite social. I have the social icons on that website. And please follow me on social, sign up for my newsletter. That's where I update on what I'm doing, the retreats, and keeping everything up to date. So website, social, and newsletter.
We'll certainly check that out. Once again, Gerardo, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. We wish you all the best, and you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Looking forward to the next time.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionsea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show. Brought to you by international award-winning author Mia Mohsen Zia of Missing. And powered by Sonic Web Studios. Be sure to join us again on over 40 podcast platforms. And of course on the MikeWagnerShow.com, HamiltonRadio.net, and Diamonds FM. Don't forget to support our program with a generous donation at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Thanks for listening.